Why we're afraid to use what we know. The eternal learner syndrome. Has this ever happened to you? You read personal development books, you listen to podcasts, you watch videos like this one. You take notes, you underline phrases, you save inspiring quotes. And yet, when the time comes to apply what you know, something holds you back. You don't launch that project. You don't share your idea. You don't switch careers. You don't start that difficult conversation. And then you tell yourself, I just need to learn a little more. I'm not quite ready yet. Once I have more clarity, I'll do it. And so months go by, sometimes years.
If this resonates with you, I want you to know something important. You aren't lazy, you aren't incapable, and you are definitely not a fraud. What you are likely experiencing has a name. It's called eternal learner syndrome. And today, we're going to understand why it happens, what is going on in your brain, and most importantly, how to break out of that loop without stopping your growth. Because learning is wonderful, but learning without acting is just an elegant way of avoiding fear.
The problem isn't that you don't know, it's that you're afraid of knowing enough. There is a silent belief that many of us hold. When I know enough, I'll feel ready. Sounds logical, right? But here comes the uncomfortable revelation. The feeling of being ready doesn't come from knowledge, it comes from exposure. You don't feel ready before you act, you feel ready after you've acted several times. So why do we keep accumulating courses as if they were shields? Because learning gives us a very powerful illusion, the illusion of progress without risk. When you study, your brain releases dopamine. You feel advancement, you feel identity, you feel like you're doing something important. But there is a biological deception here. Your brain doesn't know how to distinguish between feeling productive and being productive. To your neurons, underlining a book and launching a business feel equally good in the short term. Learning then becomes a high-quality refuge. It is the most dangerous form of procrastination because it doesn't feel like laziness. It feels like work. But as long as there's no action, it's just movement without direction. But there's no real threat, no judgment, no rejection, no possibility of failing publicly. It is growth without vulnerability. And that is the trap. Reframing. It's not procrastination, it's protection. I want you to look at this with compassion. Your brain isn't sabotaging you, it's trying to protect you. From an evolutionary standpoint, exposing yourself meant risk. Being judged by the group could mean exclusion, and exclusion thousands of years ago meant real danger. Today, you won't be cast out of the tribe for launching an imperfect project, but your nervous system doesn't distinguish that well between a physical threat and a social threat. For your brain, publishing something and being criticized activates circuits similar to those of physical pain. Yes, pain. Studies in neuroscience show that social rejection activates areas like the anterior cingulate cortex associated with physical pain. Your body reacts as if something were in danger. So when you think about applying what you know, your nervous system asks, what if we fail? What if they laugh? What if we aren't as good as we think? And the safest solution is to learn a little more. Learning becomes a comfort zone disguised as ambition. The psychological mechanism behind the eternal learner. Let's go deeper. There are three main forces sustaining this pattern: camouflaged perfectionism, identity based on potential, fear of losing the fantasy. First, perfectionism. Perfectionism isn't about wanting to do things well, it's the fear of not being enough. When you know a lot, your standards rise. You see every possible mistake before you even start. So you think, I can't do it until it's perfect. But perfection is a horizon that keeps moving.
Second, the identity of potential. Being someone with potential is comfortable. As long as you don't act, you can imagine that you could be incredible. But when you act, potential becomes measurable reality. And that's scary, because you are no longer the person who could. You are the person who did. And that implies concrete results. Third, the fear of losing the fantasy. As long as you don't try, you can fantasize about total success. But when you try, the possibility of an imperfect version appears, and that hurts more than continuing to dream. Do you see it? You aren't avoiding action because you don't know enough. You are avoiding action because acting puts your identity at stake.
When knowledge becomes avoidance, there is something more subtle. Learning can become a sophisticated emotional avoidance strategy. In psychology, we call it experiential avoidance. It's when we try to avoid uncomfortable emotions, like shame, insecurity, or anxiety, instead of facing them. Learning gives us structure, it gives us control, it gives us intellectual clarity. But acting confronts us with chaos. It's like studying swimming for years without ever getting into the water. You might know everything about the technique, but the fear of the water doesn't disappear by reading more theory. It disappears when you get in, and you shake, and you swallow a little water, and you survive. Your brain learns something fundamental. We didn't die. And that changes everything.
Tool 1. The 70% rule. If you wait until you feel 100% ready, you'll never start. Try this. Start when you feel 70% prepared. That 30% of uncertainty isn't a sign that something is missing. It's the sign that you are growing. Ask yourself, what is the minimum viable version of this I can do this week? Not the perfect course, not the ideal project, just the first visible step. Small action reduces fear much more than additional learning ever will, because action retrains your nervous system.
Tool 2. Change the goal. Instead of asking yourself, is this going to go well? Ask yourself, what am I going to learn by doing it? This small shift activates a growth mindset. Your identity is no longer tied to being good, it's tied to being someone who experiments. When your goal is to learn through action, failure stops being a threat and becomes information. And information doesn't hurt, it informs.
Tool 3. Gradual exposure to judgment. If the fear is about judgment, let's practice micro-judgments. Share an idea with a friend. Post something small. Ask for specific feedback. You don't need to jump onto the main stage on day 1. The nervous system regulates through repetition, not heroic courage. Every small exposure teaches your brain, this is uncomfortable, but manageable. And little by little, the anxiety drops. Tool 4. Define your active identity. Ask yourself this question. Do you want to be someone who knows a lot, or someone who does things with what they know? Write down an identity statement. I am a person who applies before mastering. I am someone who learns by doing. I am someone who acts even when I'm afraid. Your brain seeks consistency with your identity. If your identity is eternal learner, you will keep learning. If your identity is learner in action, your behavior changes. Important warning, there are cases where this pattern intensifies. If you have ADHD, for example, there may be a constant search for novelty that makes learning more stimulating than executing. If you are highly sensitive, HSP, the fear of judgment may feel more intense. If there is social anxiety or past experiences of humiliation, the block may be deeper. In these cases, it's not just about willpower. It can be helpful to work with a professional, regulate the nervous system, or adapt strategies to your reality. It's not weakness, it's emotional intelligence. Self-compassion, the forgotten ingredient. I want you to stop for a moment here. Imagine a friend tells you, I know a lot, but I'm afraid to use it. Would you call them a failure? Would you tell them they're an imposter? Probably not. You tell them they're human. So why is it different with you? Excessive self-criticism feeds the cycle of the eternal learner. Because if failing means confirming that you aren't enough, your mind will avoid trying. But if failing is part of the process, fear loses its power. You don't need to eliminate fear to act. You need to stop fighting with it. You can say, yes, I'm afraid, and even so, I'm going to take a step. That is real bravery. The uncomfortable and liberating truth. You are never going to feel completely ready. Never. The people you admire didn't feel ready either. The difference is that they acted with doubt. Learning is safe. Action is transformative. And you didn't come here just to accumulate information. You came to turn it into experience. Every time you act, your internal world changes. Your self-confidence stops being theoretical. It becomes lived. And you can't study that. You can only experience it. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't need more theoretical experts. It needs people who dare to be beginners in public. Closing, Knowledge isn't waiting to be used. Today, I want to leave you with something simple. Knowledge isn't waiting to be perfect. It's waiting to be used. You don't need another course to start. You need a small act of bravery. So I ask you, what is that minimum action you've been putting off? Not the big one, the small one. Do it this week. And if this topic resonated with you, I also recommend watching the video, How to Stop Procrastinating When Fear is the Real Problem. Remember, learning is beautiful, but living what you learn, that changes your identity. And you already know enough to take the next step. Now you just have to use it. If this video helped you put a name to what you were feeling, I invite you to do 3 things to break the cycle today. Comment below. What is that minimum action you are going to take this week? Writing it down is the first step to taking it out of theory and into reality. Hit like if you feel this content adds value to your growth process. It helps the algorithm show it to other eternal learners who need this push. Subscribe and hit the bell. In this channel, we explore the depths of the mind so you can stop being a spectator of your own life and start being the protagonist. If you want to keep diving into how fear blocks your productivity, click on this video appearing on your screen, How to Stop Procrastinating When Fear is the Real Problem. Thanks for staying until the end. Remember, clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from marching. Sending you a hug. See you in the next video.